Thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Roberts. Reaction to Budget 2025 continues across the country. Among Nunavummiut and Canada's Inuit population, there are mixed reactions. Some point to signs of progress. Others say important funding is missing and it could have serious consequences. Bianca McEwen has more.
The North was sparingly mentioned in the budget's nearly 500 pages. Despite this, Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami, Canada's national Inuit organization, says it is cautiously optimistic about Carney's budget. In a statement yesterday, ITK wrote the budget reflects some progress and success will depend on the scale, design, and transparency of its implementation. But ITK also has some concerns, notably the lack of additional funding for the Inuit Child First initiative, which will expire in March 2026, and if it remains unfunded, ITK worries vulnerable members of society will be left out. Also missing in the budget, any real commitments to healthcare or housing in the North. The budget re-announces the government's promise to build 700 homes with Nunavut Housing Corporation from back in September. The MP for Nunavut, Lori Italaut, says this isn't enough.
I was very shocked when the initial announcement came out that they would only invest 700 when we know that the needs are even greater than the need for more than 700. I've been to all 25 Nunavut communities and every community I've asked what the waiting list for housing needs is. And for the majority of the communities, the waiting list is over 100 to seek housing. So 700 is definitely not enough.
Also missing for Italaut, any real investment in Arctic sovereignty for Inuit. The budget announced $1 billion over the next 4 years to build infrastructure like roads, airports, and transportation, all meant for both military and civilian use. Italaut says she isn't convinced.
That sounds like a lot for the Arctic, but when you look at the details of what they're proposing, not a lot of that investment will go towards ensuring that Nunavummiut can have access to that fund to be part of the infrastructure. A lot of what will happen with this fund is make it easier for exploration companies to mine.
Italaut says the NDP met last night to discuss the budget, and they have not yet decided how they will vote. CBC North reached out to QIA. They said they are not providing comments on the budget at this time. Bianca McEwen, CBC News, Iqaluit.
In the Northwest Territories, Yellowknife MLA Shauna Morgan recognizes that this budget pays some special attention to the territories, but she says it fails to make significant investments in people in the North. To her, that means money for education, Jordan's principal, and healthcare professionals.
My overall reaction is that the most important investment that we need to make in the North right now is in our people. And this budget seems to really emphasize the physical infrastructure. And I think our greatest need right now is skilled people.
The budget also proposes cutting around 40,000 federal workers over the coming years. PSAC North is the largest union in the 3 territories. It says any cuts to federal workers in the North will directly impact services to Northern residents.
We are truly concerned that this budget, although there is an announcement and a lot of, I think people are trying to get Canadians excited about investment in the North, that starts with investing in people. And we don't see that happening under this budget.
The newly elected Yukon party ran on a promise to make electricity more affordable. Yukon Premier Designate Curry Dixon says that's why he's concerned that the proposed federal budget doesn't mention the BC-Yukon grid connection. It would see the Yukon connected to the North American electrical grid through British Columbia.
To be fair, it would be nice to see it named and a specific commitment to it. So we do hope that there's going to be money available from the federal government to invest in generation capacity here in the Yukon. We know that's something that's deeply and significantly needed. And so we want to work with the federal government to make those investments. But not seeing the specific commitment to the grid interconnect is concerning, but I we'll leave it to future discussions with the federal government for them to explain whether or not there is going to be an opportunity for that going forward.
Yukon MP Brendan Hanley says just because the grid project isn't mentioned, that doesn't mean it won't be funded. Major Arctic shipping companies are calling on Ottawa to act. In an open letter this week, they say the federal government must strengthen maritime security and invest in infrastructure as the shipping sector expands and faces new challenges. Carl Cardinal has that story.
The letter points out rising challenges for Arctic shipping due to climate change and traffic increases. Sao Paulo is the executive director of the St. Lawrence ship operators. He says the navigation season now lasts around 120 days, roughly 2 weeks longer than it did 20 years ago. Paulo says that growth in traffic means more pressure on safety and Coast Guard resources.
With climate change, there's also more and more icebergs that are being encountered by and that need to be avoided by our different members that navigate up north.
Paulo also says the lack of northern and southern port infrastructure is limiting future growth, and is urging Ottawa to accelerate investment as shipping activity continues to rise.
It's an opportunity to support the global economy, global Canadian economy, by investing up north and making sure that we take advantage of those opportunities.
Daniel Dagenet, president and CEO of NIAS, agrees climate change is creating new challenges for Arctic operations.
So even though the season appears to be longer, from the beginning to the end, we are encountering more climatic changes that will affect our productivity and ultimately our production and the delivery of service.
Dagenet is calling for Ottawa to invest in better navigation data and mapping system to keep operations safe as maritime traffic grows.
We need a whole lot more investment for bathymetric sounding, aids to navigation, to assist our sailors on our vessels, and for that we need the federal assistance.
David Rivet, president of Desgagnés Trans-Arctic, says it's time to plan ahead. He's calling for a long-term vision as more ships and communities depend on Arctic routes.
The climate is evolving in the Arctic, and what we're seeing now is greater attention to the Arctic and to the Arctic sovereignty. So having that foresight and looking 5, 10, 20 years down the road, what are the potential needs of those growing and thriving communities in the Arctic?
In the new federal budget, the government is proposing $1 billion over 4 years for Transport Canada to invest in major transportation projects in the north, including airports, seaports, all-season roads and highways. The shipping leaders says Arctic development and traffic will keep expanding, and long-term planning is needed for a safer and stronger Arctic supply network. Carl Cardinal, CBC News, Iqaluit.
Canada's Transportation Safety Board is investigating a cargo tank explosion that happened in Baker Lake, Nunavut. The TSB says investigators arrived in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, Newfoundland on Wednesday morning to investigate the Kivaluk W vessel. It docked there after a cargo tank exploded while crews were transferring kerosene between ships in Baker Lake last month. According to the TSB, no one was injured and there were no fires, but the incident raised safety concerns about fuel transfer operations in Arctic waters. The Safety Board says it will publish updates as the investigation continues. A landlord's renovation plan that could take months to complete is set to leave at least one Yellowknife couple without a home and with fears about their future. Devin Trudinick brings us that story.
After a fire this past May, the Franklin House apartments are set for a complete restoration. But the landlord says that can't begin until all tenants are out. And as winter sets in, it brings questions about where they can go. Sydney Nitniza has been having a hard year. That fire forced her and her partner out of their old unit and into a new one below. It's got cockroaches, but she says it still beats being homeless.
I just wish that I still have a place. It don't matter cockroaches or not, as long as I have a roof on top of me when I get back. I don't want to be on the street. It's winter.
Nadiza says she's applied for housing elsewhere, but is stuck on waiting lists. She says she's been homeless before and doesn't want to relive that time.
It's not easy to live on the street. It's not easy. I don't want to go through that again.
Range Lake Developments is Nadiza's landlord. It says for tenant safety, repairs can't start until they're gone. A spokesperson told CBC it gave notice about the coming evictions in September, and repairs could take many, many months to complete. Nadiza and her partner have a lawyer. He'll be in front of the territory's rental officer this week to challenge the fairness of this eviction order. Devin Trudinik, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Nunavut's Department of Health is warning residents that are traveling to Ottawa about an increased risk of measles. Ottawa Public Health is investigating potential exposure sites after it confirmed 2 cases of the illness. Several of the exposure sites are near Larga Baffin, a medical boarding home. The Nunavut Health Department says those potential exposures happened between October 18th and 23rd. Measles is highly contagious and can easily spread to people who are not vaccinated. The first signs of measles are similar to a cold that progresses to rashes that start from the face and spread to the body. Nunavut Public Health says there are no cases in Nunavut currently, but cases across the rest of Canada are rising. A walk to raise awareness against police brutality in Saluit, Nunavik ended last night. But many residents are still mourning the loss of some community members.
Justice for Joshua! Justice for Joshua!
The Remembrance Walk started as a day to remember the death of Joshua Paulatuk, shot by police on November 4th of last year. It has spread as a movement towards a wider conversation about police brutality against the Inuit community. One activist says Saluit used to celebrate Paulatuk and his twin's birthday each year. Now, the community mourns the loss together.
Joshua always greeted me with respect. I've never heard of him having a bad reputation, so it really, to me, it shook the world.
The protests were accompanied by law enforcement, including 2 police officers in Saluit. Another activist told the CBC that marching alongside police was a step in the right direction.
And really make relationships with the police on the ground in the communities. And we know when certain police officers are not there to make relationships. And it's unfortunate.
This past July saw the beginning of the Justice for Inuit petition. It's expected to be presented to the Premier of Quebec. The federal Liberals are looking to pass their budget, as we told you earlier, and now they need 1 fewer vote to get it done. Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont says he's changing parties from Conservative to Liberal. He says Pierre Poilievre's leadership is part of the reason he made the jump, and he may not be the only one. Kate McKenna explains.
It was a hero's welcome for former Conservative MP Chris D'Entremont at his first Liberal caucus meeting.
Chris's decision to join the government caucus at this crucial moment for our country is exceptionally valuable and important.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says the surprise floor crossing came after a meeting.
Mr. D'Entremont and I had a discussion in advance of his decision, as was appropriate. I think he wanted to test what we were going to do.
The Nova Scotia MP says he didn't see his red Tory values reflected by the party's leader, Pierre Poilievre.
I wasn't feeling that I was aligned with the ideals of what the leader of the opposition had been talking about.
And he teased there are other Conservatives that feel the same way.
I would suggest that there probably are those that are in the same boat, but I will let them tell their stories if that time comes.
But Conservatives say they feel betrayed.
I think it's shameful what he did. I could never imagine doing something like that, to misrepresent yourself to voters, to lie to your volunteers.
A floor crosser is disingenuous, disloyal, selfish, and opportunistic.
Well, I think they should look at themselves and see if they're offering the right thing to Canadians.
D'Entremont's defection puts the Liberals just 2 votes shy of a majority at a crucial time as Mark Carney looks to pass his first budget, sparking rumors that more floor crossings could be coming.
Last spring, Canadians elected a minority parliament and put a check and balance on the power of an untested prime minister. Mr. Carney is trying to manipulate that result and get a majority Canadians did not elect.
My sense is it would be a mistake to put all of our effort in trying to recruit people, but instead let's do the good work of governing and convince people that we're the right party to govern.
Chris D'Entremont says he wasn't offered any sort of cabinet position in exchange for crossing the floor. He says he left because he no longer felt represented by the Conservative Party. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
In the Northwest Territories, the Paulatuk drummers and dancers get together once a week to practice. They gather at the Youth Centre to work on their singing and dancing and keep in tip-top shape for performances. The CBC's Leanie Lambrink was invited to watch a practice earlier this week. Take a look.
My name is Michael Green, and I'm lead singer for the Paulatuk Moonlight Drummers and Dancers. If I could mention everybody's name, would be a little over 40 drummers and dancers. Norman Kudluk Jr., Albert Rubin Jr., Sam Green, Jermaine Green, Kristen Nakamia, Keith Wilkie, Lottie Thrasher, Becca Rubin, Jill Green, Nora Rubin, Sherry Rubin, and Nicole Green. This is the second elder in the group. Her parents were drummers and dancers from Atlav, who were originally from Alaska, and now she's taking that on in memory of her parents, I should say. What I mentioned, what Lottie was wearing is a Atikluk, parka coat. And the drum is also in Yellowknife, it's called the Kilon drum, which was originally made out of caribou skin. Yearling, they'd use the belly part of the caribou. This is modern material, which is called nylon, and used floor wax. You use so many coats on it to make it sound like that. When we were sitting down with an elder in Northern Games, me, Norman, and a few of us, an elder told us when we get together we get dangerous. And what he's meaning, or what he meant, was when we gather together to drum dance, we're powerful. All the communities around the ISR, when we get drum dancing in one place, get you hyped up, eh?
Lucky Leanie to see such an incredible practice. Leanie is in Paulatuk. We will have more of her stories from that community in the coming days. An AI-generated song is breaking new ground by landing on a Billboard radio chart. Magda Gebrselassie explains what's behind the music and why not everyone is singing its praises.
Well, if you didn't know, this is Zanaya Monet.
Hi, you guys.
The AI-generated R&B singer reportedly has a multi-million-dollar record deal. It's been popping up on social media and streaming services. Now Billboard says Monet has hit one of its radio charts, the first known AI artist to do so.
You ride what you got, Trizzy.
While this radio personality has heard the music,
it sounds like a great Southern R&B artist.
He says no way is Monet getting any play from him.
There's a ton of real artists here in the city, let alone across the world, that are just waiting to be discovered and heard. So, you know, let's put our time and effort into that.
Monet has real musicians fired up too.
Artists were already so mad that they're already seeing next to nothing from their work online and their work in digital music spaces. And they're seeing this as another slap in the face from this industry.
Living wage for who?
His advocacy group is pushing for legislation that includes AI protections, but experts say the law is playing catch-up.
And the law needs to react to that technology, and that happens through a combination of lawsuits, settlements, statute, etc.
And it's already happening. Suno, the AI program Monet relies on to create its music, is facing copyright infringement accusations.
You've been putting in work.
Reports say there's a real person behind Monet. Its creator, according to Billboard, is a poet named Talisha Nikki Jones.
So she turned her poetry to song.
This is Monet's manager.
Music is the great connector, and we were able to use that to reach the world.
But not everyone is willing to tune in to what this AI is putting out. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
In Inuvik NWT, East 3 Secondary School hosted a career fair focused on trades. Local businesses and other organizations showed up. They wanted to get more youth interested in fields like plumbing and carpentry.
This is when we need to grab their interest and pique their interest and get them in through the schooling that they need and then straight into a career. And I think we're the only industry that AI can't take away. That's what I'm going with anyway with all of them.
The career fair was part of National Skilled Trades and Technology Week. More than a dozen booths were open for students to talk with professionals. Local businesses gave out information hoping to recruit future employees. Even the RCMP came out to promote careers in law enforcement. The number of skilled tradespeople continues to decline across the north, especially in smaller communities.
My name is Hedda Keller.
And my name is Greta Cole.
We are both here for Bring Your Kid to Work Day.
We're students at the Sir John Franklin High School.
As winter approaches, the weather is getting colder.
Let's take a look at some more of the weather.
And a note before we go, there are wind warnings tonight in Norman Wells and Colville Lake NWT. Environment Canada says to expect wind gusting to 90 kilometers per hour this evening and overnight. It says there will also be weaker winds in Tulita. Environment Canada says utility outages are possible, disruptions to services and travel are likely. Now that wind is expected to hit Paulatuk on Thursday, again gusting to 90 kilometers per hour. That is expected to last all day on Thursday and weaken overnight. Stay safe there. That's Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.